Geno, not everyone is going to accommodate the way you guys want to play UCF, play slow, play deliberate, physical. How do you think your team handled that, particularly what adjustments did you make in the second half, but for 40 minutes, what did you think?
Well, you're right about that, about the way UCF plays. I mean, it'd be great if we could call every school and say, hey, this is the way we want you to play, because this is the fun way for us to play. They do whatever they think they have to do to make to be successful. They want to try to win the game, so they have to do what they think they have to do to win the game, and I would do the exact same thing. So the way they play defensively, the way they play offensively is to shorten the game and limit possessions, and I get that. And I thought the first half we didn't handle it great. I mean, our defense was great the first half. That defense was great the whole game. When you hold somebody to 44 points, that's obviously that's pretty good. But I think the first half offensively, I think we were waiting. You know, we had a little chip on our shoulder the first half. We had a chip on our shoulder towards the officials. I think our players didn't think the officials did a good enough job of helping the UConn players look really good. I think that some of the players on our team think it's the officials' job to help them be really good. Because as you noticed in the first half, we are incapable of making a bucket when somebody touches us. We're incapable of making a layup if there happens to be anybody else in the lane with us. So I am sending out word to the supervisor officials to tell the officials that from now on they didn't get the memo. According to my players, a couple of them, their job is to make sure that UConn players are not defended, nobody gets in their way, nobody tries to block their shots, and if they do, the officials are supposed to tell them that's not allowed. So once we got that crap cleared away at halftime, everything was pretty good.
I think you just gave us a preview, but it came out with less than 30 seconds left on the clock in the second half. So what was the talk in the locker room? What were you doing there?
And actually, in the locker room at halftime, it was kind of the conversation that we had at halftime was a little bit like the one we just had. You know, it was. I wish I could go back to. You know, Keisha was here and she reminded me when I used to be a really good coach. You know, when I could actually get guys to do exactly what I wanted them to do. And if they didn't do it, I just screamed at them for 40 minutes until they did. Those days are over, obviously. So you have to say it a different way. You have to do different things. But it took the whole time out to get some of our players to understand the way that this game was going to be played, and to embrace the way it's played. That if you want to be a great team, you have to be able to win every which way. Once we got that squared away, we were good to go.
Geno, what did you see from Aziah tonight, and also just in general during this middle portion of the season? What have you seen kind of in her evolution as a player?
Yeah, you know, I think Aziah is like a lot of players that are pretty gifted, and I've used this comment a lot in the past. So I apologize if I use it again. But it's the best description I can use. Aziah is a great. She plays both ends of the floor really, really well. In the first half, she plays this end really, really well when we're on offense. In the second half, she plays that end when we're on offense really, really well. So she's got both ends of the floor covered. Unfortunately, it's never at the same time. So all the things that Aziah does for us that are so great offensively, which are what? Everything. She moves without the ball. She takes up space. She's got great footwork in the lane. She's become a pretty good passer. She's a huge target. I mean, it's so easy for her. The offense is so easy for her, and she's not even making outside shots. She, had one get beat halfway down and come out. So when that starts going in, she's as good an offensive player as there is in the league or in the country maybe. However, when the score was 40-34, we said, you know, try really, really hard. Let's keep it under 40 if we can, guys. She gave up the next 6 points on layups and fouls. So we got the only 6'6" kid that's unguardable in college basketball, and we got the only 6'6" kid in college basketball that can't guard. Hey, somebody once said, nobody has it all. I do. God doesn't give me everything. Yes, he did. Give me guys that can't be guarded and don't guard. Who could ask for more than that?
What about the third quarter? You got some steals, you got some tips, and kind of in transition. You want me through kind of what you saw?
Yeah, I know. You want this. I know, Jim. You want this great explanation of what happened, what did he and I'm going to tell you right now, it's this simple. Like Gabby Williams single-handedly turned the game around in the second half. I know you'll find a way to use a lot more words than that, but the game basically came down in the third quarter. Gabby Williams completely single-handedly turned the game around. And once that started to happen, and we started getting out and getting into our stuff before they had a chance to set their defense up, and the layups and the mid-range and the threes started dropping, now all of a sudden it's a completely different game. And the biggest difference from the first half to the second half was Gabby Williams.
Being a senior, is
plain and simple.
Kind of what you hope to see from her?
Yeah, and you know, I said during one of the timeouts, I said, you know, Gabby turned the game around in the third quarter, and it wasn't something you draw up into plays. There isn't a play that you draw up that Gabby runs that then says, okay, this will change the game. That's not what great players do. Great players change the game by making great plays, not by taking something from the playbook and running it. So, wish I could be. So, well, what are you going to do when she graduates? Well, I have to come up with better plays.
You mentioned after the UCF game that the guys later on in the bench past the first 6 and put together a couple good games, and today no one got in until 6 minutes was left.
Correct.
They take a step back the last couple of days in practice?
Yeah. Well, they didn't take a step back. They kind of went someplace where I sensed, you know, Crocodile Dundee from South Florida to find them. I couldn't find them. One of the problems with our guys on the bench, especially our freshmen, they were incapable of having 3 good days in a row. It's just not possible. And until they do, they're not going to play. And you know, they looked really good when they came in there. They really did. Somebody said, what's kind of a big takeaway tonight? Those next 6 minutes were pretty good, right? Nobody closed their eyes and said, well, this is a nightmare. It actually looked pretty good, didn't it? Yeah, it did. I was shocked. Why? Yesterday we were going to practice an hour and a half. Practice was like 40 minutes. I don't even want to get into it. However, I did use what happened in the football game last night as an analogy. I said to them, do you realize the 2 kids that played quarterback last night? Last year, they were doing the same thing you were doing. And now this year, both of them, one kid, at halftime, the best coach ever to coach college football walked in and went, by the way, get ready. Guy, guy's 18 years old. So in front of 80,000 people and 100 million people watching, those 2 guys put on a show. They're your age. I can't get you guys 4 minutes in a basketball game. Something's wrong with that picture. So until you guys start being less afraid and start being, and I said, you need to pay more attention to what other people do in the world. The kid threw the pass to win the national championship. And even if he had overthrown it, doesn't matter because it took a lot of guts to throw that pass. And even if the kid would have dropped it, doesn't matter. Kid was wide open. He actually ran a great route. See, so guys are not afraid no matter what age they are. You guys are afraid. And as long as you act like that, you're not going to play. Not that you don't have the ability to play, not that you don't have the talent, all that other stuff.
Kid caught the ball as a true freshman too, wasn't he?
That's what I said. But they're both freshmen. There's a freshman who hasn't played all year throwing it to another freshman to win a national championship. And we had a drill yesterday. We were playing 4-on-1, and one of our freshmen turned it over twice. You say, that's not right. Coach, you're exaggerating. Do I look like I'm exaggerating? We had 4 guys on offense. They had 1 guy on defense. We threw it away twice. You have 3 people that you can throw it to. Only one of them is being guarded. And you throw it to that guy. You go, no way. How am I doing so far?
Who we put him?
I asked CD that. I said, you're quick to take all the credit for those 1,000 wins. You better own this too. But and you know what? They're such great kids, and they're such, like, they have so much to give, and yet they just sit around and wait for somebody to give it to them instead of going out there and grabbing it every day. So hopefully today, best thing that came out of today, we actually had some guys come off the bench and actually do some things. That to me is encouraging. What will be even more encouraging is if they're able to put it together when we get together Thursday and Friday before we play Saturday. So when I see you Saturday and I tell you that those guys were great on Thursday and Friday, then you will have a scoop.
Jim, and 1 or 2 more.
What's the update on Andrew being part of this team moving forward?
Right now it doesn't look that way because she's still not here, right? So we're going to try to get a resolution to this in the next day or so. That's the best I can do.
The other question is, you saw Florida and Temple and Tulane have come up, and it seems like this team in Houston are starting to make heading in the right direction. How important is that to see, teams like this kind of?
Yeah, I feel terrible for Temple because they lost a couple players to injuries, and so has Central Florida, because those are 2 NCAA tournament teams probably. So with us, South Florida, and them, that's potentially 4. And maybe you throw Tulane in there, and that's 5. And I don't know about Houston. I haven't seen them yet, but I think we've got to start making some movement in that direction, for sure. And so far, the early indications are that we have. But what has to happen now within the league is the teams that are supposed to win, the top 6 teams, need to keep winning. And if that happens, and at the end of the season, everybody's done what they need to do, then I think we'll be in great shape. Because if you look around the country, it's not like so loaded that there's no room for that, because there is.